My chosen film is Clueless by Amy Heckerling, which was released in 1995.
If you haven't seen Clueless, it follows the life of a 16-year-old it girl in LA whose name is Cher. The film is aimed towards teenagers, and this is pretty evident throughout. One of the main themes that this film follows is the cliche saying, never judge a book by its cover. This saying, however, is very relevant to life at all times. It is taught to us from a young age and reinstated throughout our lives, but often is not followed. The film also presents us with a look into a life that a majority of people do not live. From the first scene to the last, the lavish lifestyle that Cher lives is very prominent. On the other hand, we are also shown Cher's struggles and insecurities regardless of the apparent perfect life that she lives. One of my main points of interest in the analysis of the film is how it seems to ask us to dislike Cher, all at the same time giving us many reasons to like her. One of these reasons being that Cher is constantly doing things for other people, even those who are not very important to her, such as her debate teacher. She likes her debate teacher and she has no issues with him, but she goes out of her way to make sure that he falls in love with another one of their teachers. Also, Cher and her best friend Dion take in a new girl, Ty, and help her to fit in, which is not something that you typically see in high school movies. Numerous times throughout the film, Cher is seen trying to better herself and her friends, even if it's in her own weird little way, and Cher often puts others before herself, or at least tries to, many times throughout the film, even if she's not successful in getting past her ego. One of the other important points I wanted to discuss about the analysis of the film is how it was filmed in two different perspectives. So one of the questions that may arise while watching the film is why Cher is constantly saying more selfish and ignorant comments, while Heckerling was also trying to make her seem like a good person. So during the film, it's filmed in one of two perspectives. It's either Cher and her own thoughts and feelings. You can often see her facial expressions, how she reacts to things. And the other is from an outsider's point of view. So from Cher's perspective, she does have feelings and is, in her own weird way, trying to be a good person, trying to make a better person out of herself. And then from the other perspective, the outside perspective, Cher is a snobby, rich, irresponsible, uneducated 16-year-old who cares less about people than she does materialistic things. I had two critics of my film whose analysis I related back to mine. Both critics discussed that Cher is portrayed more negatively, as I just said, than she is positively up until pretty much the very end of the film. One of the critics casually mentions it, while the other describes how we almost come to love Cher. Both mention the split way of filming, one where we see Cher's life in the negative portrayal, and one where we hear Cher's thoughts, which is the positive portrayal of her. Both critics also mention the use of music, dialogue, clothing, and more to truly embody the late 1990s scene that is meant to be portrayed throughout the film, which was another topic I discussed in my paper. I agree with the critics that Cher is portrayed much more negatively through the outsider perspective and much more positively in her own head from her perspective, but I think that this is meant to represent more than just Cher being more than she seems, but that anyone can. And this relates back to my idea of never judge a book by its cover. And I think that Amy Heckerling was really trying to reach and make a point that not only should we not judge Cher because she's an LA girl and she's 16 and all of her characteristics, but we should not judge anyone else for any of their different or similar characteristics to our own. Clueless seems to ask us to dislike Cher and her valley girl, snobby, judgmental bimbo attitude, but throughout the progression of the film, we are also led to believe that the film asks us to never judge a book by its cover, as Cher, her close friends, and classmates turn out to be much more than they were originally depicted as. As previously said, I believe that this reaches more than just not judging Cher, but not judging anyone.